Rolling with a little bit of a squirrely moment there on the bottom as he was snapped tight on the exit of the corner. Christian Challenger trying to stay off the back of everybody. They're going to go 3-1 as they come down the front stretch with Travis whirling on the bottom. There's contact. They still keep going.
Whirling all the way to the bottom, but he doesn't have the speed. He's pinched too far to the inside. Challenger on the high side. He's going to be able to get the nose ahead. We are going green to the finish. Abramitis has the inside, but can he get it off the corner? He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead, but it's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it? Abramitis takes the win by 7 thousandths of a second. The top 5 were only 700ths between each other. Unbelievable finish.
Pulling up ahead, but it's going to be 3 wide as they head down to turn 1. Look at that. That's Ian Haycock's making the move for the lead on the inside. They're almost 4 wide behind him. That's Reed Miller who gets into the back of everybody. He cleans out Yuko Leskala.
Unbelievable. Haycock's with a move that saved his bacon. He gets a great run, covering down to the inside, almost all the way to the grass. He'll force Holly to go the long way around as they approach Rent. Kings is still potentially in this. No, he's starting to drop back as he tied on fuel here. As Holly tries to go around, he might have the speed to do it if he can just challenge him down to the line. He is a little bit wide. Now Kings is coming back. They are running out of fuel. It's going to be Kings who goes from 3rd to 1st at the final run. Oh, this is a bad place to catch him. He's going to be able to get through 1. That's some distance. That is the buffer that he needs. I think that's going to do it for Guven. All he needs to be is fast off the final corner. He spins it. The final corner. Vico's going to win off the final turn and beat Guven, who led this entire race. With Phoenix now being strictly an oval venue, it's easy to forget that up until 1990, it included a full road course. And though sadly the full version was long gone by the time iRacing was able to bring their scanners to the place, the Roval and infield course were still preserved. Indeed, thanks to this legacy version of the track on the sim, we get to witness how it once ran over 12 years ago as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Sunday Drivers' Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Derek Watson. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Derek, this is going to be interesting to watch how these MX-5s fare on a Roval that we don't see often.
No, you're right, Joe. We don't see it often. In fact, was actually scrambling my brain to remember the last time I have seen this course. It's a 13-corner course, a little over 1.5 miles or 2.4 kilometers. Couple interesting things about this track. The biggest one is the infield for me. This is not a track that has grass or obvious runoff points. You can get off tracks and get off course here very easily just by accident with these MX-5 cars. Yeah. Of course, yeah, we're going to see that long straightaway. That's where drivers are going to get a lot of momentum. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. Yeah,
that's a good point about the off tracks. And I wonder if we'll wind up seeing drivers rack those up quite a bit as we are in the midst of the qualifying session. But before we talk about that, or excuse me, actually at the end of warm-up here, let's head to the championship points, starting with the driver points. And up at the top of those, Tom Daly is leading Kale Koivisto currently by a pretty decent margin now, starting to really show his consistency over everybody else. It's not that much of a gap down to Elliott, but Javi Lopez has got some ground to make up. Sousa is also hot on his heels, so the drivers could wind up swapping around. They also have a teams championship, and Derek, how are we sitting on that one?
Well, Positive Delta Motorsports comes into this race, with 157 points. 5 points back, though, very obtainable in this race, is Wampy Motorsports. Then you have Spirit 14 Racing, Racing Netherlands. Those two teams are only 3 points apart, 31 and 34 back. And then SimTech Racing in 5th place, 66 points back here as we enter week 6.
Now, for the Nations Cup, we heard some of the drivers say this is more of a for fun thing, but I'm sure there's definitely some national pride there, as Ireland has been leading it from the start. Finland been given chase. They've cut it down to 20 points at this stage. The Netherlands jumping up to a tie for 3rd with South Africa. And the United Kingdom has actually slipped farther and farther backwards since we've seen this start up. So having a little trouble here as the season gets underway. We'll see if they can turn that around. What about today's race details here, Derek? What are the drivers up against?
Well, sure. As you said earlier, this is round 6. That's important. It's a 24-lap race in fixed setup cars, so everyone has an equal set to start with. You do get a bonus point for getting the pole in this series, so there's a point available for that. And also 1 bonus point for fastest lap in the race. So something to compete for, even if maybe you're not up at the front of the field.
Indeed, maybe denying your competitors that point if you can't manage to win the race. Just damage limitations. You can see we've only got a few more seconds in the warm-up, and Stefan Alderding is currently leading that timesheet, actually by a full 1/10 of a second over Sander Ware, considering how many cars we have here, and it's not that long of a lap. It's just over a minute. I'm surprised he found that much time, but this qualifying session will certainly be fun because, yes, it's a short lap at just over a minute, but it's only 10 minutes that they have to set a clean one. And we're looking at 32 drivers to compete with track space here on a track that offers a big, long, flat-out portion, Derek, where the slipstream can be important. This is going to be fun.
It is. I think what's important here for qualifying, Joe, is either get out first and go right at it, or go last and hope that most people are happy with their laps. That middle portion, I think the middle 5 minutes or so, 6 minutes or so in the middle could be very treacherous. I think if I was one of these drivers qualifying, sometimes you want to wait for the perfect weather or the perfect moment, or you want to know what time you have to set. But I would just go for it right now. As you said, it's going to get busy up here. You already see people already pulling off here. That is Oliveira, I believe, right there on the camera that we're looking at. But I would just go right now. And a bunch of guys are actually, there's a bunch of them coming off pit road. And this tight pit road exit, by the way.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's pretty narrow. Thankfully, no pit stops in this series. So that's about the only time that they're going to have to worry about it here as they start to try and get them in. And yeah, it's not just that pit exit that I noticed, because I did run a Skip Barber race here, I think sometime last year, as this is part of the base tracks that you can get on iRacing. So it shows up on some of the lower tier license series. And let me tell you, that first corner, the braking from 1 to 2, just constantly slowing from super high speeds, it's a doozy. I cannot figure out how the fast guys get the most out of it.
No, there's a lot of corners around here that just come up very fast, and even in these MX-5 cars. And you know, it's interesting because in these cars, momentum is the name of the game. If you break momentum, if you have to slam on the brakes too hard, you've basically killed a lap, maybe 2 laps trying to get your momentum back in these cars.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially off that last hairpin. Coming back onto the oval portion, you botch that, you're going to be slow by the time you even still hit the line, losing valuable tenths. And we've just started our first flying laps. Oliveira there, as you mentioned, the first one out, and is now heading into this interesting carousel. Very difficult left-hand kink into there, and then pinches down as he tries to get the throttle on, and then a late apex on the very last part where it weaves back and forth. Straight line it from here. Hopefully that doesn't cause problems as drivers are close together. Can take a lot of that runoff on the right-hand side and then back onto the oval, but you can't take much more than the wall right there as he gets it right up to the edge. And as the first one, hopefully to be able to set a time, let's see what kind of marker he puts for the rest of the field.
You know, Joe, something to maybe talk about very minorly that we don't typically talk about with road course racing, with how long these straights are. If I was the third or fourth guy in line, as some of these guys are right now, you might benefit just slightly from a draft here from some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain they will. And Oliveira puts down a 107.6. He doesn't have the draft of anybody. He's kind of trying to do this on his own. Ellett now to the provisional pole. 107.3. Oral gets close, but he's still 0.3 away from him. So anybody else able to go faster? Sander Ware's coming through. He's usually relatively quick. Lopez. Lopez up to the provisional pole as Ware crosses and unfortunately has his, lap deleted that time by. So he'll have to cycle back around. We're already down to less than 7 minutes, so time is disappearing quick.
Yeah, it really is disappearing quick. And you see lots of drivers already trying to push. You're going to see some outside these camera views that are going off track or even up through the, up onto the oval in a couple of cases here already. So an exciting qualifying session to watch here. As I said, you can see those camera shots right there. There's no grass here. There's no runoff. It's very easy to get off tracks here in this infield. And of course, you can come up here and there is track in the obvious oval portion. But this is going to be a fun race, I think.
Disappointing first lap for Cavisto, 107.6. He's down in 7th because of that. Looks like Oliveira back around on his second time, a 107.4. So putting some good ones in. And Stephen Orrell has improved that time by 107 flat. Lopez now has a chance to respond, but his lap got deleted. Daly was able to go faster, but is still only good enough for third place. Ellett did not go quicker that time by. And out on to the oval, it looks like we are watching Cavisto going to try and see if he could do better what is now all the way down to 10th place. Oh, he is struggling here today.
Yeah, he really is. Just watching here as Cavisto's going to come around here and get to what's now the old start-finish line. Of course, as you said, now Phoenix has converted purely to an oval track, so in real life, we're going to see the start-finish line elsewhere. But for today, that's the spot we're going to look for, is we're going to see contact here towards the back of the field. But yeah, this, see, there's that momentum. You see how easy he made that pass there.
Exactly, and Cavisto managed to get within 0.02 of a second of Oral. Kevaney now up into third place in the 107.2. And that gets within about 0.2 of our pole sitters, but he could still find that before this is over. We're now halfway through the lap. Lopez back up to the top himself. 107 flat exactly. Still the top three split by 0.5 of a second.
Yep. And you see someone pulling off there. They must have decided to go. Oh, there's some contact.
Yeah, last thing you want here in qualifying, because they're going to have to go back in and get a spare car and have to start all over again. That takes away 2 valuable laps from them. And it seems like every lap counts here. We've got 29 of the 32 on the board right now. We're still waiting on Bruno Albino, Leon Vorders, and David Mitchell to set times, but Mitchell and Vorders are not on the circuit currently. And let's see, Cavisto, he's just starting a lap. So who else is close to trying to compete? Here is Kevaney with a tow as well. That's from Stephen Orrell, who's pulling him along, but that's not going to be a fast one. Orrell also on an outlap that time by. So that didn't quite do it, although they will have another shot at trying to pull one another through the lap here, although they got a little tangled almost there coming through 2 and 3 as we hop on board, watching down into the carousel section once again. They're also going to give a tow to Martin Smith behind him, who sits in 14th currently. Ooh, way too much of that inside curb and spinning off. That means that Orrell might be done with his qualifying from here.
Yeah, he might be. He still might run it out to see. Sometimes you just never know what may come of it. But you're right. That's some motivation killer when your draft leaves you behind. But this is actually, in a way, the interesting part. We got about 3 minutes left to qualifying. Now you know the goal. So now you're probably going to be more aggressive in your qualifying laps. It might mean a few more laps get killed by accident, but now you know the goal. Now you know if you have to push harder, if your pace is good enough. in a 32 driver field, it's important, for almost any driver not to be back there, because the mentality across iRacing, I thought he was going to pull it over there, but he is pulling over. Okay, the mentality is that wrecks happen in the back of the field, and with a 32 car field, if a wreck happens, you don't want to be back there. So everyone's going to try to push and get up front as far as possible.
Absolutely. It is a place where often things can go wrong, and it's not even your fault. See Alderding crossing the line. 107.1 for the 51 car, but that doesn't seem to get him a position. He stays in 5th, unfortunately. Who else is on a flyer in these last 2 minutes of the lap? See Tom Daly, our points leader, is actually kind of stuck in the middle of a bunch of cars. He just came across, didn't manage to go faster. There you see the 67 on your screen. A lot of curb. And Davila's in front of him. He's got Zegalar behind him. But what he really needs is people to pull him forward and get better times. This is what you got to worry about. You can see him having to slow up for that car ahead there, Derek. It's that traffic. It can definitely give you that draft, but it can also hinder you.
Yeah, it really can. You're watching him here. He's still going to try to make a run at it, but I mean, that's going to be something to watch for in the race as well, to kind of jump ahead, Joe. It's going to be lap traffic. You kind of hinted at it, but you got to think 32 cars. Yeah, an interesting thing to show, if we can, maybe towards the start of the race, is going to be where the back of this race starts, because it's only 1 minute laps. You're not going to be that far from getting lapped when the race starts. We're going to have probably a lot of lap traffic in this race today.
Yeah, don't doubt that. And as they come across the line and set their times, looks like Tom Daly not able to improve once again. Zegalar does not, and neither does Davila. So Lopez coming around to complete a lap. Looks like Oral's on a flyer, but it is slow. Yeah. So that's not going to do it for him.
Yeah, if we can get our producer, maybe Zach, to find Albino here. Albino's on a lap here with a little bit of a tow, or being towed, I should say. He's navigating some traffic, but this could be a good lap for him. Currently, he's sitting 24th at a 107.899. We'll see if they can make a move here. And maybe he can properly use that draft or that tow in front of him here on this flying lap.
10 seconds left. We almost have the checkered flag. Liviera improved, but still stuck down in 11th despite a good start to this qualifying. Couldn't seem to back it up as it went on. Last one to start is Geddes. First one to get the checkered flag is Vorders. And she is going to improve to a 109.6. That'll put him in 31st. Who else is able to get a good time down? Looks like not seeing many of them, most of them having their laps deleted as they cross. Dresser is going to be next. He doesn't go any quicker. Boy, a lot of drivers struggling to find improvements here at the end of a 10-minute session. Sander Ware is next to cross in the number 7 car. A 111.0 will not do it for him. Ellett, who is up in the top 5 in the points. A 107.1, that's an improvement by about 0.2 of a second. That puts him into 6th. So there's the jump in the 9 stages as some drivers slow down as they come across the line. Man doesn't go quicker. Javi Lopez, who's already on the pole, is not able to extend himself further, but Oral's already in the pits. Coivisto comes across. He's not a challenge. He doesn't go quicker. So it's looking like right now we'll have Lopez on the pole unless we get a real shocker, Watson.
Yeah, it's hard to think that's going to happen with with how few cars left on the track. There's no draft here, so it's hard to think anyone's going to make the pole. The last one I see right now is Davila, and in fact, oh no, maybe he's not. I thought, well, the way he went under the banking there, I thought maybe he was killing it, but no, I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, I think he's done. He's coming into pit lane.
Okay.
So qualifying is over. Before we get to the grid, we want to mention our sponsor, the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. And if you use our discount code MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. As we head off to the grid, Lopez, as we mentioned, is on the pole for this one. Stephen Oral will be starting next to him. It is Cali Coivisto P3 with Nuno Sousa in the 4th spot. Stephen Alderding will be 5th, followed by Michael Ellett, able to snatch 1 spot at the end in 6th. Joseph Kevany is the one that was bumped down to the 7th. Sander Ware will start P8. David Geddes will be 9th, and Tom Daly rounds out your top 10.
All right, we'll start at P11 with that 13 car of Victor Oliveira. Then you go to Mackenzie Mann in 14th. Row 7 is Gavin Dresser and Renee Ziegler. Row 8, Brett Ride and Leif Druhas. James Austin and Martin Smith are 17th and 18th. And then Jason Guerrero, we saw him during practice, is 19th. And rounding our top 20 is Henriquio.
Then you've got Aaron McGrath in 21st, Pedro Maramon at P22, followed by Tim Lancaster and Bruno Albino. Then it's Rantanen, as we've got Van Rassel and Rodriguez. Dalamans, as the lights are now up and you saw the rest of your fields. Green flag is out. Coming off the line, a little bit of smoke from Lopez, but it looks like he's strong in spite of it. Oral able to slot into second. We got a great start from behind them in the 51 of Alderding, who moves into 4th position, down into the first corner here.
Contact in the back.
Oh no, already having problems. And yeah, I can see a few cars having to spread out to get beyond that, and they're all bunched up on the inside. We'll come back to that in a bit, as they've come to a complete halt there up against the wall. But at the front, it is Lopez, Oral, and Cavisto, your top 3.
Yeah, they definitely are. And we're going to watch them as they're going to go around here and set into this infield. And it's an exciting start so far here up in the top 3. Not much gap here. So we'll see if that stays the same. And Javi Lopez, of course, still your leader, coming back up onto the oval here out of turn 11. Make this big round here, or dog, if you will, in turn 12. This is the penultimate corner here, as he's going to lead most of the field around. This is 13, and then back to the start-finish line.
Absolutely, but it's a big gap for Lopez, currently 9/10 of a second. Maybe he'll need that when they get around to the traffic. Look at how much of a hunt it is for second, as Oral's being threatened by Cavisto. He sends it in deep. Cavisto tries to back up the corner, but they all come back in the middle as they exit of 2. Kevany's going to lose a spot, though. Looks like Sander Ware is able to sneak by him. I think we have a brief moment. Let's take a look at what happened on that wreck at the back. Derek, it looked like you had eyes on how did this start?
Yeah, I believe it's going to start with contact. I'm not sure the car is. Someone makes contact with McGrath here up into that first corner. And up there it was, right in the front of the screen. And then from there, carnage just ensues. People trying to avoid, you see here. And it's going to continue ahead of them.
Someone backing up, hoping that they could maybe get in the clear, and they backed up right into somebody who was trying to go slow
right
on the inside. Oh, so you don't reverse on the track. That is a big lesson right there.
One of the worst fears you have as a driver is when you go, no, don't back up. No, don't do that. No, it's one of the worst things. But unfortunately, that's unfortunate for a lot of those guys. Lap 1 to have it happen. So we'll wait and see here how many cars are left, or how many cars. We just had a new fastest lap, Joe.
Tom Daly setting that one. So despite not being good in qualifying, as we get side-to-side contact, Sousa absolutely slammed into by Tom Daly, of all people. That man is in a hurry.
Yeah, he is in a hurry. And, you know, it's, oh, man, I saw that on a replay on my own screen here. I mean, that's a battle for 5th and 6th place right now, or 6th and 7th. So that just shows you how important these guys think it is to get ahead in traffic when you just want to make a move here and, you know, risk it to get there.
Renee Ziegler got turned by Jason Guerrero there in the 35. Don't need to go to it. They all are able to keep going as we get some side-by-side between Ware and Sousa. Sousa's already been roughed house. Is he going to get more of it as they head onto the oval down into NASCAR 3 and 4? And going to use a little bit of that NASCAR-style racing, using the high side to see if he can keep the momentum up. But I don't think this is going to work for Sander.
No, it's not going to work. It's the only way that would work would be if there was a draft line on the high side, which there was not. So now he's going to move to the inside here, coming down into 1.
We're going to see a more wary Nuno. Oh, he's off into the grass, and he's way off into the banking. That's not part of the racing line there. He's going to have to come back on. He tries to come on at speed. Almost winds up in the tires because of that. Thankfully, he keeps it out of the barrier. That allows Kevany through, and Ware is solidly into 7th now. Boy, some adventures here in the first part of this race, and this has all been happening behind Lopez, who is down to 0.4 of a second ahead of Oral. So things are remaining tight for the lead. In fact, look at that. He's got a big train starting to form, so that slipstream looks like it's making it hard for the 9 to really break away.
Oh, yeah, it will be hard to break away. As long as they stay within about 1 to 1.2 seconds and they keep in that slipstream, they'll stay with him. In fact, they'll go maybe a couple miles an hour faster than him in these cars. So yeah, as long as no one slides these tires through a corner or does what Sousa did and get way off track, they'll stay in contact. And then, we said it before, it's going to be a story, and lap traffic will dictate. Sometimes lap traffic is harder on the leader than they are the rest of the field, and sometimes vice versa. Sometimes they'll let the leader go because they're like, oh, you're the leader, I respect that. But then they just, they tighten up afterwards. So we're going to need to wait and see.
The good news is it's going to be a trickle for him at the start, it looks like, because they've got Tim Lancaster and James Austin, then Aaron McGrath, and they're all very far apart from one another. So they'll just have to tackle them one at a time. Now, granted, he's got to watch out, because if he does get slowed up, it's looking more and more like those behind him are getting aggressive, because Oral has been poking his nose. And though they are dropping Kavisto a little bit, I'm sure Kavisto's hungry for a move such as Alderding just had, and Alderding had some contact now with Tom Daly. So another moment of cars coming together for our championship leader. He's going to have the outside, but now he gets in behind in the slipstream. This should give him a good shot to try and slingshot past into the first corner.
Joe, what this reminds me of is something we're going to talk about later in tonight's broadcast on GSRC, which is about how small accidents become big accidents. Here's what happened there. Someone got a little tight and wanted to check up, and you see it cause contact behind him. That's sort of what we're going to see at Martinsville tonight as well. But that's really interesting how that stuff can happen in these cars. Momentum, these cars break fast, and you don't always get the notice, and it can cause a lot of carnage if you're not careful.
Indeed, and as we jump back a little farther now into the fight between Ware and Kevany, this has been going on since early in the race as well. He is trying to take a different line coming through the carousel to see if he can get himself an advantage, but no dice on that one. So he'll have to try again a little bit later. Looking through to see who our hard chargers are so far in this race. We've got 9 up for Van Rassel. And I think that is the most positions gained by anybody. Otherwise, it's been a lot of positions lost, if anything, by those who have run into trouble. We come on to the main oval portion once again with Van Rassel trying to see if he can hunt down Puttenstein there in the 23.
Something I find interesting about this track, as I've kind of hinted to infield a couple times, as a race car driver and as a road course driver especially, you always want to have markers in your head. Well, when that wall starts or when this mark on the track happens, that's where I need to brake. But look at this infield, Joe. Like, I've only raced here, I think, once. I don't have a vast knowledge of the place, but there's no markers. Like, I don't know what I would use for a marker here. Like, when there's a white line, okay, well, let's be more specific. I don't know how you'd find a marker to know where your braking point is. Look at this onboard here. Like, what do you use? You've raced here before, Joe. What do you use for markers here?
Not a lot, honestly. It's some of it is the muscle memory that they are trying to gain, and especially into that first corner, the marker is difficult because there's, like you said, it's a lot of the same looking stuff. And down into the hairpin, looks like a marker has been found by Van Rassel as he clearly outbrakes Puttenstein, and that'll put him into 16th. So now up 10 positions, continuing his trend, and he did set a qualifying time, so this is legit.
I'll tell you what, I was concerned that wasn't going to work. By the way, there's a new fastest lap there by Alderding. But I was concerned that pass wasn't going to work. I got to be honest. I'm very impressed that he stuck that in there and did so safely.
So we look at the mid-pack, a couple cars blinking, unfortunately. We got to get back to the leaders because it's still staying quite close up here. And, someone almost looking like they're barging their way through there. Not sure who that was. That looked like they had a bit of contact briefly. I think that was Oliveira who's certainly been having a bit of a bad day. He's down one from where he began after being the first to set a time in the qualifying. And through the hairpin in the meantime, as we come up to the leaders, the top, let's see, top 6, in fact, top 8 are split by only 4 seconds here. So it is still hard to separate this group, and Lopez is having to watch his back because Oral has been just threatening him at every corner.
You know, he has. You know what's interesting about this 4-car train? You got Lopez, Oral, Cavisto, and Ellett here. Oh, we got someone. No, don't get up there. Almost on track. I was going to say, I'm not sure who that is, Joe.
That was Marimon. Yeah, Marimon had a bit of a spin with Albino in front of him. Although I think Albino was the one that was starting to spin first, and he just caught out Marimon, unfortunately.
Whenever I see cars come up that way, I always get I get so nervous. Like, no, I've apparently, you know, had too much carnage in racing from that. But anyways, I was gonna say, what's funny about this 4-car pack up front you're seeing here is second, third, and fourth need to time their move correctly. What could happen here? Let's say Cavisto goes to the inside or outside of Oral. If they time this poorly and they side-by-side race, Javi Lopez will benefit, and he will pull away when they break that train.
That's a good point. So he's honestly cheering on Cavisto at this point, wanting him to try and attack. But so far, they've been stuck like this. And I'm not sure if this is by intent, if Cavisto wants to wait it out until it's late. He knows he's got a hold with the leader. I would rather try and fight for it. Here's the lap differences between himself and Oral as they'll slide down into the braking of turn 2 and then switch back through 3. And so far, it's been a bit of back and forth between the lap times, each one faster than slower between Oral and Lopez.
Yeah, that's a lot of give and take right there. I mean, you can do the math, and there might be a small difference there, but not a whole lot is the difference there. And that's probably a difference between the draft and how you hit a corner. But yeah, that's almost the same as these guys are still at it here. It keeps looking like Cavisto and Ellett want to make their move. Oh, hold on. No, I thought he was going to make the move there up onto the banking, but no. I'm not sure if this is calculated, but it's the best thing for them until they're ready to make their move.
Yeah, Ellett went way wide down through the hairpin, and they swing back through along the oval. Lopez still leading Oral, Cavisto, Ellett, Alderding almost dropping off. From there, it was 8 cars. It has fallen away. Daly, Ware, and Kevany, unfortunately, a little bit too far back at this point to really try and keep up. And underbraking once again. Wow, very wide with Cavisto. Oh, he's going to open the door. Ellett wanted it, but he couldn't find the traction.
No, he couldn't. And wanted to see if we could show back here the battle for 10th, 11th, 12th. This is a good example of the draft, although it looks pretty simple, or sounds pretty simple here. You got 10th, 11th, and 12th. This is going to be Geddes, Dresser, and Ride. They're going to run down Sousa pretty quick, who's all by himself. So even though we're at a road course, this is a good example in these cars of how fast the draft can work. Watch this closing right here as you see Sousa just on the outside of the screen there, and how fast they're going to close in on him, probably as we get back up onto the oval here.
Indeed, Geddes leading that pack. Oh, what? I'm not sure. It looked like he botched that hairpin distinctively. And, well, Dresser is now going to overtake that spot, and that's not going to catch them up to Sousa like we thought. Sousa starts to run away. Daly and Kevany had a bit of a back and forth battle there for a moment, and Daly came out on top of that one as we come down the front stretch. And it looks like Dresser will stay ahead of Brett Ride, and Geddes slips back down to 12th and last of that trio that we're watching to see them catch up. Each of them, once again, kind of taking their own run through that corner, almost causes some miscommunication. Thankfully, they do not hit one another.
No, you're right. They do not hit each other, thankfully. And it looks like these are team cars. So, and that's a good example right there of an off track. Now, luckily in this league, there is no penalty for off track or incident limits. So you can kind of use those. That's a little too wide, though. That's taken into extreme right there.
Way too wide, and they go 3 wide, and some more car contact, unfortunately, coming down out of the carousel. Looks like they'll be able to carry on, but not without a little bit of damage. That was Mackenzie Mann, Victor Oliveira, and Van Rassel all getting caught up there. I think Gavin Dresser a little bit too, who initially was the one that went wide. So down to 13 to go. We're just 12 to go, actually. This is the halfway mark now that the drivers have hit. And if you want a good position, it's probably going to be go time.
It really is. You know, we have another wide shot there out of that corner. That corner's proven to be the toughest corner of the day so far. I was going to say, as a quick shout out, if we go back to the front for a second, 5th place, Alderding, is someone we're not talking about a lot, but really is sitting in the catbird seat. And what I mean by that is these top 4 are together. And so what Alderding's kind of hoping for is he can lay back here, and if something happens up front, he could benefit from all the momentum from it. So someone to look for, you know, if anything happens up front. We've not talked a lot about him. We've been focused on the front 4. But Alderding is still very much in this race. Only 2 seconds back, as now that is Mackenzie Mann. I saw slow there on the track.
Yeah, that McCann got tipped around by Dresser actually through the carousel and sent him completely around. Dresser's actually still in a 3-way fight right now. 3 wide. Oh, and it's going to go south as he gets edged to the side by Puttenstein. Elbows are out today in these MX-5s. This is all for 16th place. Enrico, 15th rather, Smith has that position. Enrico's going to try and get it back. He's got a good run, and he's got the inside down into turn 1, but he doesn't have the guts on the brakes.
You know, it's interesting to me about turn 1. I think this is the trickiest corner on the track right here because of just how wide it is and how long it is. But that's not where we're seeing the most trouble. We're seeing it most back on the entry. I think that's up there in turn 11. But that turn 1 is, as a driver, my least favorite corner on the track.
Same, very much same. I just could never master that thing as we see them head through the carousel once again, being led by Smith, and Puttenstein gets put back in his place. Rodriguez is the one on the attack. Dresser trying to make up for his lost positions. Van Rassel still is our hardest charger, well ahead of these guys at about 12 positions up currently. But we have someone who might be able to challenge him for that, because Rodriguez, in the mix of this pack, is currently up 10 spots.
Yeah, I was looking through a second ago to see who our hard chargers were. Of course, Tom Daly's up 6 spots. And we mentioned a couple earlier, but, you know, I mean, Guerrera's up 7 spots as well. There's a couple guys who have moved through this field, but we're continuing to watch these drivers go through turn 1. And now we're moving on here.
Coming down out of the first corner. There's just a little bit of a straight before it's back into the carousel as they fight for what is the I believe is the 13th position. This is Oliviera and Van Rassel. Oh, as we come back up to the top spots and things are finally starting to erupt. Gavisto's had enough of it. He's attacked on Oral. Can he chase down Lopez is the question. Behind him, it looks like it's not done for Steven, as here comes Ellett. He's going to cover off the inside so that Ellett cannot take that shorter line as they all break into 1 and 2. You mentioned the distance this is going to put between themselves and Lopez. It is now a second as they come off the turn.
It is, but the good thing about that, at least for Oral, and for Cavisto, actually, is that they made that pass fairly quickly. So they didn't sit side by side for half a lap or through a big corner. They pretty much got it done. So now the question is, does Cavisto, have anything here? We're going to find out as he's now running down Lopez pretty well. Lopez, of course, here has a lap car ahead who's going to get out of the way. And we're going to wait and see what happens here. This is going to be the corner. This is turn 11 they're coming up to here. This will put him back on the banking. And I think what's happened there is Lopez got a little bit nicer of a gift, if you will, from the lap car than Cavisto did as far as re-entry onto the track.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. It hangs it still about a second. Cavisto could still maybe catch him. They have no lap traffic for a long time. Kalle Rentinen, fellow Finn, next one up for Cavisto as they cross the line down to 9/10 of a second. So Kalle is managing to make a little bit of difference here and there. Behind him, look at Ellett still fighting with Oral. Ellett's managed to get by him and into third. And way down in 6th and 7th, Sander Ware able to overtake Tom Daly as well. Look at this group. Holy cow, that's Kevin Sousa, Ride, 5 of them all vying for 6th position.
This is a nice little gaggle here you got on track, as they're now going to get through the Sousa. Nothing of any significance. No one got turned, but he definitely, I think, made a small bump in the bumper there through that corner.
I wouldn't be surprised. Seems like car contact has been pretty frequent here today at this place, just like that. As aggressive moves sometimes work, sometimes don't. The main thing is hopefully both are able to carry on.
Yeah, that was Brett Wright right there who tried to make that move, and now what's happened because of it? Oh, hold on.
Oh, no. And a bit of a miscommunication. The cars get tangled, and that's going to mean that they slide off to the infield. As that was happening, Cavisto used the slipstream to catch Lopez. It is now 0.2 of a second with 7 laps to go. The race is on for the lead.
Yeah, it really is. This has become interesting how Cavisto maybe was saving something, or maybe he just found a new line or a new method or a new breaking point, because he is quickly closing this gap, Joe.
I can't believe how fast he caught up to him. I know he had the slipstream, but I figured that'd just be maybe a 10th or 2. Not the full deal in one go, and a little bit wide for Lopez opens the door. Cavisto has the inside. We haven't seen the high line on the oval work yet, so I think this might be a new leader by the time they hit the start-finish line.
Yeah, you see the momentum, and it's a shorter line around. It's basic science that the faster line is usually the inside line. So they're going to now make the pass, and for the first time today, officially right now, Lopez is not a race leader. It is Cavisto.
And he breaks a little bit earlier than Cavisto down into turn 1. This has allowed Ellett to start to catch them. Could he lose another position? Cavisto coming through to try and see if he can distance himself in a way that Lopez could not. We hop on board with Ellett. Look how much they have to get right up next to the walls and places almost into the back of the Spirit 14 car. And Kevin, he's had an issue, and so has Martin Dixon. So that was a lapped car. That must have been into the first corner, it looks like.
Yeah, that's interesting to see if we can maybe find out what happened there. But yeah, you know what I'm wondering is, do you suppose Lopez burned up too much of his stuff, or what happened here? I mean, he had a decent lead that now has been passed. I know we said momentum counts here and the slipstreams count here, but it's interesting to see if maybe Lopez was just going a little too hard on the brakes and a little too hard on the tires, and now is suffering from it. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. You can overheat the tires here. They still have treads on them. They're not slicks. So that could be the case. Let's take a quick look at that replay of what happened to the first corner. I think he was trying to turn in, and Dixon was there. Yeah, there you can see he's on the left-hand side. Dixon trying to stay out of the way. Oh, but Dixon understeered, and they were hard enough side to side. Yeah, the tire's broken. Suspension is done, and that means he has to take a tow. So all the way back, and unfortunately, well, Kevin, he looks like he actually retired. I do not see him out on the track. Oh, and Puttenstein just had a problem. Puttenstein is also going to take a tow.
Oh, more contact there. That is, guys, if this is, I know it's
messy.
I know it's momentum-based racing. You don't want to lift, but when your choices are to finish or go home, you should pick finish probably.
Yeah, I think Rodriguez getting caught up in that. Alvaro still runs in 17th as we see some side-by-side down through the carousel once again, having to weave through that little chicane. Let's get us to the inside, man to the outside, and man, could he pull the over-under? Yo, he wanted to, and unfortunately that sends Geddes spinning as he just clipped the quarter panel.
That's the opposite side of a incident there for Geddes, almost in the same part of the track, I believe, from where he had the incident a couple laps ago, where he was the one who spun someone else. So Geddes is not having good luck at that portion of that track.
Meanwhile, Cavisto is currently leading Lopez by now 0.9 of a second, with Ellett still behind him, and we're down to 4 laps to go. Oh, Lopez looks like he is overdriving slightly. Ellett has got a good slipstream. Will he be able to try and use this to attack?
He might. Let's talk about the mentality for a second. And we're almost done here, only 4 laps, but the mentality of Lopez right now is probably highly frustrated. And just like anything in life you do, no matter whether it's racing, whether it's cooking, whether it's anything you do in life, when you're frustrated, you don't do it quite as well. Oh my goodness, that was close. Oh, that was, if they'd have put one more layer of paint on that car this morning, Joe, we might have had a contact there.
Yeah, and thankfully Elliott decided what you said earlier, it's better to finish this race. Let's get a better move on that one. He's got 3 more laps to do it. Clearly the slipstream is there. And unfortunately for Lopez, the pace is not there because it's now to 1.1 seconds behind Kvyat. I was trying to check the stats here to see if Cali has won yet this season. And if not, this will be a nice maiden victory, especially considering he played this one to a T. He sat back there in third for so long, waited for the right time, and as soon as he pounced, it was almost like that was race over.
Yeah, it really can feel that way for Lopez. We talk about being frustrated. I'm sure he's overdriving right now out of that frustration, but this is such a cool thing to win at a track like this, Joe, because you're like, oh man, I conquered this. This isn't something we race all the time within the iRacing service. You know, it's not a Laguna Seca, it's not a Watkins Glen, it's not a Long Beach, which has become a new perennial favorite across the service. To win here for me is really cool because it's like, I did it, and it's just something cool to claim, in my opinion.
Indeed, a place with a lot of history too. Phoenix has been around longer than you'd expect, since the West usually doesn't have a lot of older ovals. And down into the first corner once again, you can see how much they have to bounce off of that banking, and into the first turn, side by side there with Sousa still playing comeback, and Guara also trying to fight through the field. Oliveira, wow, just finds the space between them as they went single file. I thought that was going to be an accident, but they all kept their heads cool and found some space.
Oh, Joe, what we missed here. Unfortunately, coming back up in the oval here with 2 to go, a lap car really got in the way of Lopez and Elliott, and just really slowed up under that banking entry, and it's really going to put a big gap here. That's probably going to be enough of a gap just to secure the victory here as we come to the white flag.
Yeah, still 1 second between Lopez and Kvyat. There is the white flag. 1 left. Lopez has got to play defense as hard as possible because Elliott has been trying on this, and now he knows he's running out of opportunities. He has got to be full charge if he wants to at least get P2, even if he can't steal the win.
Yeah, so that's got to be your goal now, is defending P2. The only way you're getting to P1 now is if Kvyat makes a mistake, not by you making an awesome move. So you're going to see him come around here. He's just going to block Elliott every way possible. Of course, the big key here is they're now down through turn 10. Is going to be this next corner. This is 11. This has been the problem child of the race.
It has, but none of them able to get side by side.
Oh,
there.
man.
A little bit of wheel spin for Lopez. We'll have to watch and see if that is enough to get him across the line before Elliott. But up in front of them, there's your leader, Cali Kvyat. The Finn is going to come home with victory here at Phoenix International Raceway. And behind him, just barely salvaging that second place, Lopez, despite being on pole, could not wrap it up. Elliott gets your podium.
Wow, what a great run there by Kvyat. Waited to the moment to pounce, and then Williams took the lead and never looked back here. A great finish there between Lopez and Elliott. Unfortunately, Elliott, I think, played a little bit of follow the leader there in 11. Had he been able to hit that corner correctly, he would have taken home second.
Everybody else streaming across the line here. And I think we're going to see, it looks like 24 drivers left on the lead lap. This is one of our closest battles here. In fact, these are the last few cars on the lead lap. That's Dallemans with McGrath chasing, and Albino in there as well. Good slipstream, but will he be able to get underneath him is the question, because he needs that shorter line, and McGrath wants it, but Dallemans is going to deny him. It's a race to the finish, but Sven has it covered. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Phoenix International Raceway. This latest round of the Sunday Drivers' Cup sees Kale Koivisto finish in first with Lopez in second. Despite leading most of the laps of the race, Lopez just couldn't hold back the Finn. Michael Ellett challenged Xavi up until the very end, but he had to settle for third as Stephen Orrell started in the front row and fell down to fourth. Stefan Alderding, P5 for him, was followed by Sander Ware in sixth, and Tom Daly was seventh, up 11 positions for Jason Guerrara. Nicely done. Even better for William Van Rassel. We mentioned he was charging through the field. He wound up with 17 gain to finish ninth. Victor Oliveira rounds out your top 10.
All right, then we're going to have Nuno Sousa in P11. You have Brett Ride P12, Martin Smith in 13, Mackenzie Mann in 14th, Gavin Dresser in 15th, Alvaro Rodriguez, up 11 spots in 16th, started 27th. Leif Durajas in 17th. David Mitchell 18th. Pedro Merriman in 19th. And rounding out your top 20 is David Geddes.
Zen Dalemans finished 21st with Bruno Albino 22nd, and it was 23rd for Davila. Rantanen, last one on the lead lap in 24th. It's Leon Vorders, P25, Lancaster 26, and McGrath in 27th. Last two one lap down were Austin and Dixon. From there, it was DNFs for Puttenstein, Zegelar, and Kevany. It looks like we have our winner ready to talk to us after starting from third on the grid and almost looking like he was playing patient back there for much of the race. Kale, congratulations. Was that the case? Were you just kind of sitting behind and waiting for the race to come to you? Because once you made a move, it looked like you had it completely under control.
Yeah, but that's not the case. I mean, first of all, I'm very, very surprised to get a win here. I never thought that this could happen actually today, but apparently it could happen. And yeah, I was just like, I was struggling with my tires all the time. And I mean, maybe I didn't have the pace, but I was trying to give a pressure for the guys. And those guys in front of me, they make almost like a exact same mistake in the last corner. And I just managed to take advantage of that. So I was just trying to adjust the situation.
I was trying to go through the previous results and figure out, is this your first win of the season, this one?
No, this is the second, actually.
Gotcha. Well, it certainly comes at a good time to try and continue to attack on Tom for that points lead. Do you think you can keep this up when we head off to Okayama? That's going to be a slightly longer lap time than this one.
Yeah, Okayama has always been pretty good to me, so I hope that I will just keep doing my best there.
Well, anybody you want to thank that helped make this victory possible today?
Well, you guys commentating and everybody involved in this league, Sandovar organizing the league, and I want to give a special thanks to my teammate Michael Ellett. We were having quite nice battling between two of us tonight, and I'm actually quite glad that I managed to keep him behind today, so that's also a positive thing for me.
Absolutely, whenever you can beat your teammate. But let's take a quick chat now after we've talked with our winner, Koivisto. With third place, Ellett, Derek has caught up with him.
I definitely have. Michael, good job today. You finished P3. Talk to us about the race. How did it feel? And how anxious were you coming into this race?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look, I was stoked. It's not a track I particularly enjoy, I must admit. After qualifying P6, I wasn't expecting much. But then as the race went on, I just realized, just had to be a little bit patient, pick my battles well. And it seemed to work out at the end. So super, super happy with P3.
Yeah, we saw you race behind your teammate Kavista most of the race. What do you think there was any chance that you could have worked together to make that move, or were you just stuck in P3, or what happened there?
Yeah, look, I think, me and Kale have always said that we should put the team's championship first, at least for probably the first 75% of the season. So I definitely didn't want to try anything stupid or try anything on him because I knew he was also playing the waiting game. And then unfortunately for Stephen, he made a slight mistake, and then we both saw that as an opportunity to get through. And then fortunately, Kale got through on Chubby. I couldn't quite get through, but at the end of the day, I think an optimal result for the team's championship.
Yeah, it was a great day indeed. Good job. So next we go to Okayama. Well, what are your thoughts heading into that track?
Yeah, look, I think it's a track I enjoy. It's a track I think that everyone on the grid's very familiar with, as is anyone who's done rookies on the iRacing servers. But yeah, it should be a good race, nevertheless.
Awesome. Well, he is the driver of the number 2 car, finishing P3 tonight. That's Michael Ellett, Joe.
And that takes us to Bruno Albino, finished 22nd place today, a little bit farther down. But Bruno, talk to us about that first lap. I went back and took a glance at your run through the first corner. Looks like the seas almost parted for you and gave you that one little opening.
Yeah, good afternoon or good night to everyone. This is a very competitive championship, and we must thank you to the organization for this commitment. 25 minutes that we believe that we are professional drivers. And Phoenix, it's a very complex track. The track has different aids, and the Mazda sometimes decompensate the balance. 25 minutes of dangerous maneuvers that we must avoid in the next laps. T1 was an unpleasant turn for me, where I was involved with another driver. But I think that tomorrow we will have a better race, and we have also Nuno from GIF, the Portuguese team, that is well placed and who can have a say in this championship, guys.
Absolutely. And you talked about knowing kind of the pitfalls of problems with each track. What do you take going forward then? Were there any lessons you feel like you pulled out of this race despite a 22nd place?
Well, in fact, our real life sometimes do not allow us to make or to practice as we want. And leaving from behind the grid, it's very difficult to recover because all the drivers are very fast, and the gaps between, for instance, the first and the 26 is sometimes less than 1 second. We must work hard. Mistake, it's impossible to have. We must be very attentive in the track, because a mistake and the next driver, he is there always to pass us and to hit that good place that we want. It's very difficult to drive the Mazdas. A 25 minutes race in a Mazda is like an endurance race in a GT3 of 45 minutes. And it's always a challenge in being here every Sunday, or almost every Sunday, once per month. And well, it's very, very nice, and we must be very pleased to have this kind of organization.
You guys put on a fun show each and every time. Anybody that you want to give a shout out before we let you go?
Me and Nuno, my Portuguese fellow, we are very commitment in doing our best here. We don't have any special sponsors, but I think this is a very opportune moment to give a big hug to all the Ukrainians that in this precisely moment when we are here having fun, some of the Ukrainian people are suffering a very, very bad moment in their history and their life. Plahiva Ukraine is my last message.
That's a very wonderful message there from Bruno, and definitely share the same sentiment with the 64 drivers. I think we got one more for Derek to talk to. It's going to be the sixth place finisher of Sander Ware.
Sander, welcome in. You had a very, let's say, exciting race today. A little bit of contact here and there, but a good finish in P6 up from your qualifying spot at P8. Talk us through the race, how you felt about it, what stands out after the race is over.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. To be honest, everything was already over after qualifying. Qualifying 8th on this track means it's very, very difficult to overtake. And I had the pace, I think, to be up front, but I didn't put it together in qualifying. So yeah, then you start on the back foot, and then it's mainly trying to get a place here and there, which in the end I succeeded, but I was behind Tom Daly, and I don't think, well, maybe he didn't either have the rhythm today, or he was watching too much in his rearview mirror, so that's why he lost a lot of ground to the guys in front. And when I finally got by without any incident points, that was I'm pretty proud of that, because it was so close, but I still didn't pick up any incident point. But when I finally got by, it was just impossible to do anything more, and the gap was already too big. So yeah, bit disappointed, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. So what's your experience with this racetrack? We know this is a track that's available on iRacing to members to use, and sometimes it's used in the beginner series, but what's your experience here? Have you raced it a lot? Was it hard to remember this track, or what's that like for you?
Well, it's a technical track. You have to really get your apex right, especially when you get onto the oval part. You have to really commit early to the gas to have a good run onto the oval. It's not a real. It's not. Of course, it's a short track. I think it's pretty easy to do an okay lap time here, and it's close racing. At least it's difficult to overtake, especially with the wall so close. But yeah, because it's one of the subscription-based tracks in our league, we only use those tracks. So that's also why it's in, and it's an intensive track at least.
Awesome. Well, great job today in P6. Anyone you want to say hello to or thank? Friends, families, pets, anything like that?
Yeah, mainly I joined the interview room because of my teammate Xavi Lopez being second, and his little children and his wife are sleeping just right next to him, so he can't really go into the chat. So I just mainly wanted to represent him. He did a great job, I think, pole position and second place. So yeah, he's on fire this season. Also, he missed last race, so that's unfortunate. But still, he's in it, and also having in mind that there are 6 drop races. So from the 20 total races, only 14 will count in the end. So he's still really, really much in the championship fight, and yeah, that's good to see. For myself, I'm a bit further away, but I also still hope to have a chance in the end. But mainly, yeah, congratulations to Xavi. And of course to Kalle, who takes another win, makes the gap towards Tom a little bit, comes a little bit closer in the championship. Michael, the other podium finisher, also great job. And to you guys, as always, for the great broadcasts.
Well, thank you very much. Congrats on P6. That is Sander Ware.
Which is going to conclude our post-race show. So we want to give a big thank you to our channel sponsor before we take off, the Majors Garage. Make sure and check out their link in the description below and use our discount code MajorsGSRC if you want to get 10% off your order. Also, a thank you to the Sunday Drivers Cup for bringing us on for this series. And a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Derek, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. We keep a link in the description below for that. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're down there so you don't miss a moment, because as we said, the next race at Okayama is going to be a fun one, but it's not until Sunday, May 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, including up next, the PRL NASCAR Cup will be at Martinsville. That'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.